Hi guys, it's Emma AITA, your favorite AI slop tuber. Before we jump into today's video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks so much for your support. Now, let's get right into the video. AITA for cutting off my aunt after she showed up at my graduation uninvited and caused a scene. Graduation day was supposed to be the happiest moment of my life. After 4.5 brutal years juggling a full course load, 2 part-time jobs, and the emotional landmines of living at home with a family that tiptoed around drama like it was the national sport, I finally earned my bachelor's degree in social work. My mom cried when I walked the stage. My dad beamed, uncharacteristically soft. My younger brother even high-fived me, which was his way of saying he was proud. But one person wasn't supposed to be there: my Aunt Sheila. Sheila has always been the elephant in the room at family events, the relative people keeping their lives out of obligation, not love. For most of my childhood, I didn't even realize how toxic she was because she wore her dysfunction like perfume, strong and obvious to everyone but herself. She always had drama brewing, always needed help, always had some elaborate tale about being wronged by friends, coworkers, partners, store clerks, random strangers on the bus. My mother, her younger sister, was one of her favorite victims. Mom would come home in tears after every visit, and somehow it was always her fault. Sheila had an iron grip on guilt. She'd call at 3 a.m., sobbing, drunk, alone, talking about ending it all, only to turn furious and accusatory if you didn't drop everything and drive over. She demanded loyalty but never offered any in return. She'd use secrets like currency, especially mine. If I confided in her about something, I'd inevitably hear it recycled back to me through some other cousin or uncle at a gathering, twisted out of context. When I was 16, Sheila once stormed into our living room in the middle of a family barbecue and started screaming at my mom about how she'd abandoned her emotionally since their childhood, in front of 20 people. My mom froze. My dad ushered her away. I was mortified. From that moment on, I told myself, when I'm old enough, I'm cutting her off. For good. The thing is, no one ever truly cuts off Sheila. She's like a vine that finds a way back in through a cracked window. She sends letters, emails, shows up. She knows how to spin herself as the victim so convincingly that even the most boundary-savvy family members eventually cave and let her back in, just for now. I didn't want that for myself. So 2 years ago, during a particularly ugly incident, she posted a passive-aggressive rant on Facebook calling me a selfish little girl who forgets who helped raise her, after I politely declined to edit her self-published memoir, a 90-page mess of delusions and half-truths. I sent her a long email explaining why I was going no contact. I kept it calm, direct, and respectful. I told her I was prioritizing my mental health, that I wouldn't be responding to future messages, that I wished her peace, but I was done. She didn't respond. But she did send a bizarre birthday card 4 months later with a handwritten note that said, "Blood is thicker than boundaries." I threw it away. So when my graduation approached, I reminded my mom several times not to invite her. I made it very clear, I didn't want drama. I didn't want surprises. This day was for me. The girl who had clawed her way to a degree in a field built around helping others break generational trauma cycles. I wasn't about to let my own unresolved family mess infect that moment. But of course, nothing is ever that simple. The ceremony was held in the university's largest auditorium, a place so big it swallowed individual voices like a cavern. I had given my mom a handful of tickets, just enough for her, my dad, my brother, and my best friend Mia. Everyone else, I told them, could stream it online. I wasn't trying to be a diva. It was limited seating, and I didn't want to dilute the experience by turning it into some extended family reunion. But when I met up with them after the ceremony, bouquet in hand and diploma folder tucked against my chest, I immediately noticed the shift in energy. My mom wasn't looking at me. My dad was fidgeting with the camera app on his phone. My brother gave me a quick hug and muttered, "Congrats," before walking off toward the car. Only Mia was acting normal, overly cheerful, trying to fill the silence like she could duct tape over the weirdness. "Is everything okay?" I asked, glancing between them. Mom looked at Dad. Dad looked at the sidewalk. Finally, my mom said, "Sheila came. Just for a bit. I didn't invite her. She just showed up." My stomach dropped. "What?" "She wasn't at the ceremony," she added quickly, like that made it better. "She was in the lobby. I don't know how she even knew about it." Mia grimaced. "She tried to talk to your mom while we were waiting for the doors to open. It was awkward." Apparently, Sheila had walked up right before the processional music started, wearing an enormous pink hat and sunglasses like she was attending the Kentucky Derby. She'd acted like it was no big deal, like we were all just going to smile and let her blend in. My mom, bless her, tried to deflect. Told her it wasn't the time, that the ticket situation was strict, that it was my day and not hers. But Sheila wouldn't budge. She insisted that she had every right to be there, that I was still family no matter what tantrums I threw. Eventually, a volunteer usher stepped in and asked her to leave the building, but not before she made a scene. "I'm not leaving until someone acknowledges how much I sacrificed for that girl," she allegedly shouted. She left after that, presumably. No one saw her after the ushers took her aside. But it was enough. The buzz of post-graduation joy I'd been floating on had evaporated. I felt poisoned. I didn't say much after that. Just nodded, took a few photos, and excused myself early from dinner. I told everyone I was tired. In truth, I just didn't want to risk bursting into tears at Olive Garden. Later that night, Mia and I sat on the floor of my bedroom while she helped me unwrap gifts and look at the pictures. I couldn't even enjoy them. All I could think about was how Sheila had hijacked yet another milestone and turned it into a sideshow. "She's like a storm cloud that rolls in every time the sun comes out," I muttered. Mia offered me some leftover cake. "You don't have to feel guilty about her," she said gently. "You're not responsible for the choices she makes. But guilt is funny. Even when you intellectually know you're not to blame, it clings to you." That night, I found myself rereading that final email I sent her 2 years ago, wondering if I could have worded it differently. Softer, more explanatory. Maybe then she wouldn't have crashed the day like a wrecking ball. The next morning, I woke up to several messages in the extended family group chat. My cousin Kevin, who rarely says a word, had written, "Not cool the way Sheila was treated yesterday. Family's family." Then Aunt Teresa chimed in, "We may not always agree with people, but shunning someone on a public day like that is cruel." And the worst one, from Uncle Dave, "People make mistakes. Sheila's been trying to do better. Alienating her only makes her spiral more. Just saying." Suddenly, I was the villain. It felt like being slapped. I stared at the group chat in disbelief, thumb hovering over the screen like it might bite me. The narrative had flipped. I was no longer the college graduate, the first in our family, mind you, who had worked herself to the bone for 4 years while navigating anxiety and part-time jobs. I was the heartless niece who had excluded her aunt. I didn't respond. At first, I thought maybe my silence would speak louder, but within an hour I got a text from my mom. "Just so you know, Sheila says she only wanted to congratulate you and that she's sorry if it upset you. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to reply to the family." That's when the switch flipped. I'd spent years managing this woman's emotional chaos. I'd spent years untangling myself from her guilt traps, her dramatic monologues, her fixation on control. And now I was being told to make her feel better. I wasn't doing that anymore. So I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I responded. Not with venom, but with clarity. Sheila was told years ago that I did not want contact with her. She made decisions that hurt me deeply, and rather than apologize or reflect, she doubled down. My graduation was not the place to hash that out. If you truly believe that crashing my milestone moment and causing a scene in the lobby was a form of reconciliation, then I think we have very different definitions of family and respect. I'm not interested in debating this further. Please respect my boundary. The fallout was immediate. Kevin left the group chat entirely. Aunt Teresa wrote me privately saying she was disappointed and hoped I'd come around eventually. My mom, bless her again, stayed neutral publicly, but told me in a phone call later that she was proud of how I stood up for myself. Still, the whole incident took something from me. The high of graduation never quite came back. The joy felt like it had been swallowed up by shame, then spit back out with teeth marks. The worst part? Sheila sent me a handwritten letter 2 weeks later. Not an apology. A letter. It was 5 pages long, complete with perfume and scripted loops of ink that made my eyes hurt. She talked about how she only ever wanted what was best for me, how hurt people, and how forgiveness is what separates us from bitterness. She ended it with a quote from Proverbs and a postscript. "I hope you'll think twice before slamming doors that God might still want open." I put it through the shredder. I didn't even tell my mom about it. I knew she'd say something like, "At least she tried." But to me, that letter wasn't trying. It was performing remorse without actually expressing it. No mention of specifics, no acknowledgement of the pain she caused. Just a vague, spiritual guilt bomb meant to shame me into silence. Still, I started wondering, again, if I was being too harsh. If maybe I'd become so guarded that I couldn't recognize a real olive branch if it smacked me in the face. So I talked to my therapist about it. She asked me, what would be the ideal outcome of forgiving her right now? I thought about it, really sat with it, and I realized that I didn't want anything from Sheila. Not a relationship, not closure, not even peace. I just wanted her gone, out of my mental real estate, off my emotional books, so I blocked her number. Again. And this time, I meant it. The real test came a few months later when my cousin Kevin got married. He was marrying his college girlfriend, someone everyone in the family adored. I was invited, of course, but I hesitated. I knew Sheila would be there. I wondered if it would be seen as petty or dramatic if I skipped it. I debated for weeks whether attending would be a show of strength or a fresh opportunity to be ambushed. In the end, I went. Not for Sheila, for Kevin, because despite everything, we grew up more like siblings than cousins, and I still loved him. But I set firm boundaries. I told my mom in advance that I would leave immediately if Sheila approached me. I would not be the bigger person. I would not be baited into conversation or trapped into a photo op to appease some false sense of family harmony. The wedding was beautiful. And, true to form, Sheila found a way to ruin even that. At the reception, she waited until I was getting cake with a friend and then appeared next to me like a ghost in lavender chiffon. She put her hand on my shoulder and whispered, "You look so grown up. I barely recognized you." I turned, set down my plate, and said, calmly but clearly, "Please don't talk to me." You'd think I had slapped her in front of the entire room. Her mouth dropped open. "I'm just trying to be kind," she snapped, her voice louder than necessary. "I asked you not to contact me. That includes here." People were watching now. Kevin's mom, a few second cousins. Sheila's lips pursed. And for a second, I saw the glint of that same performance she'd put on in the lobby of my graduation venue. I braced myself for the dramatics, but this time, maybe she sensed I wasn't going to play her game. Maybe she realized there were more witnesses here. She stepped back, raised her hands in mock surrender, and said, Okay, I won't push it. I just thought you might have matured since May." She walked off, and I stood there shaking, feeling like I'd swallowed a bomb. Later, Kevin found me outside by the string-lit garden and apologized on her behalf. I told him not to. I told him I didn't blame him. But I also said plainly, "She's not welcome in my life, Kevin. And I really hope you can respect that, even if the rest of the family doesn't." He hugged me, said he understood. I believed him, sort of. When I posted photos from the wedding online, I cropped Sheila out. She still commented on one of the group shots I'd missed editing. "So glad I got to see you smile, even if briefly." I deleted the comment. Then I restricted her from ever commenting again. It's been over a year since then. Since the graduation, since the wedding, since the last letter she sent, which I also shredded without opening. Sometimes when I talk to my therapist or friends about it, I still ask the question, am I the a-hole? I ask it not because I don't know the answer, but because sometimes our conditioning is so deep that the question becomes a reflex. We're taught to value family above boundaries, to honor the people who share our blood, even when they drain it, to keep the peace, even when it costs us our sanity. But here's what I've learned. Boundaries are not cruelty. Silence is not weakness. And choosing not to forgive someone who refuses to be accountable does not make you a villain. I am not the a-hole. I'm the daughter of survivors, the niece of a narcissist, the first in my family to graduate college, the only one in my family to say, enough. And if that makes me hard or cold or unforgiving, so be it.